What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Stay Faithful podcast. As normal, as usual, I am your. Wait, am I muted? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I just
I
got a
can
message
hear you.
saying I was muted. What's up with that? I'm your guest, Ty Alston. Joining me, as always, on a Monday night is my big homie, David McNiner. David, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. Minus what happened yesterday. We'll get into
Yeah,
that, but I'm
we'll get into
good.
that. Well, that's good to hear. At least you're on a positive note, on the good foot. We missed you last week. I was traveling. I was actually out in Santa Clara doing my thing, partying with the faithful in Levi's. It was great to see. Great game. Great way to kick off the season. The vibes are high. Things were looking good. And then we come to yesterday. And things are not so good. It's that darn Minnesota, man. I don't know what it is about Minnesota, but we just can't seem to get things right there. Can't seem to pull off a win. I know it's been 30 years since we won there, but it's only been 8 games. So let's put some context to it. We've only played 8 games there in those 30 years, so it's not like we're there every year. But this is our second year in a row. And for the second year in a row, the score was basically identical, which is weird. So, before we get into the positives and talk about this, David, give me your rant on the game. What didn't you like? And I'll jump on in there with you.
What didn't I like?
Mm-hmm.
Well, pretty much our O line, and I mean, honestly, the right side of our O line looked solid compared to the left side.
Oh, I agree. I
What
agree.
is going on here? It's
What's up
like,
with that?
you know, our defense is susceptible to big plays, apparently. Um, the tackling really didn't look bad. I'm going to say it. The tackling didn't look bad.
Mm-hmm.
But that 99-ish yard touchdown to Jefferson made us look like really bad. You
Really
know,
bad. Yeah.
um, all 3 phases were having issues in Minnesota. Is it something in the water? Is there a voodoo lady up there with a sour Sam doll that pokes trying to play?
Mm-hmm.
Like what is going on here,
Yeah.
right?
Something in that Midwest water for sure. And we don't like it. Maybe we should bring in our own water when we travel because it does not go
Yes.
well. Um, I'd say my biggest like negative from that game was that big play. Just because of the situation, what we were in, and I understand what he was trying to do, what the call Sorensen made, but once you see that we have Odom out there who is essentially our backup safety, and he's in a starting role because of injury, one on one with the best receiver in the league, that's a red flag for me. I got to call timeout. I got to change things up. I don't want that matchup at all. And I
No.
understand that Jair Brown was supposed to have safety help over the top and, bracket him. But even in that scenario, it's still a mismatch. I want my 2 best corners, one of my 2 best corners on him at all times. That's the way it goes, right? Not my backup safety and my my second year safety who's only playing his what was it, like his 8th game in total now?
I think
Yeah, I
eighth or
think it was,
ninth.
yeah, it's around there. So not much playing experience under his belt. No mas. I don't want that at all. So that was disheartening. And we were in a similar situation last year where we called a horrible play. and it didn't work out well. And it's like, oh, are we not learning from our mistakes? So that one really got under my skin as like, why can't we get right in Minnesota? What is going on here?
I don't get it. Is it something about like the purple teams got our numbers? The Ravens beat us last year too, right?
Yep.
So is it the purple? Is that the problem here? Is it just we show up at Minnesota and we forget where we're at?
Yeah.
Is like I don't get it. Steve-O, shout out to you. The Vikings
Yeah.
are 1-11 at San Francisco. Shout
Yes,
out to Steve-O.
it is flipped in San Francisco. We own them in our house. So it's something about us playing each other in each other's houses. And shout out to the chat. Shout out to Steve O, Rob D, 49ers Throwback, my guy Fernando. Thanks you guys for tuning in and everybody else that's tuning in lurker mode. We appreciate y'all. Heard Kyle's going to the booth next game. Maybe Sorensen needs to go to the booth or something. I don't know. Actually, the defense, I really don't have a problem with the defense. They had a little issue getting off the field on third down, but they still only gave up 23 points, which is a low number. It's a winnable number, I should say,
It
especially
is.
with an offense capable of putting up 30 plus a game. And that's really the my biggest issue is with on the offensive side of the ball. But once again, in Minnesota, I don't know what goes on with the offense there. It just it just can't make things happen. Um, what's up, Jason? How
It's
you doing, buddy?
it's kind of disheartening, honestly. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we're going up against a Minnesota team that's not supposed to be this good.
No.
They beat the crap out of the Giants, who
What's the Giants?
they have Daniel Jones at QB. Their
Right.
defense, yeah, they got some solid players over there, but they're not a complete team either.
No.
And here we are, we're playing a team that's supposed to be complete, and it's just like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, there is the Monday night game tonight, which you know, I'm saying screw my picks, go Falcons. But because I got to look, but I know I picked the Eagles to win.
I did too in
But
my
at
pick 'em.
this
Yeah.
point, at this
Yeah.
point, it's just go Falcons. Shout out to
Yeah.
you, Spongy.
Yeah.
Um, and but the positive notes of the game, Ty. All right,
Let's get to the positives. That's
all
right,
right.
because there were positives in this game, and I want to touch on that. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, Mister Negative here. Give me yours, and I'll jump in there.
So Jordan Mason is
Mm-hmm.
looking like the back we all thought he would look like if he got given a chance,
I gotta
right?
applaud you on that one. Yes, most definitely.
Um, and I'm loving seeing this because hopefully by the time CMC gets back, Kyle will be like, "Well, CMC, I love you, buddy, but I have got to get this guy some carries."
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
guys are going to be splitting time, not necessarily 50-50, but he's still getting 10 to 12 carries a game, something like that. You
Yeah.
know, um,
Which
it
which
is
is
so.
yeah,
Yeah,
which
go
is
ahead.
what we, the faithful, who have seen him since his rookie season, his rookie preseason, have been clamoring for ever since then. We
Yes.
we saw his potential. We knew he had it. We saw him used late in games sometimes, and we're like, hey, we need to spell CMC and get this kid some carries because he is definitely capable. So it's finally great to see him toting the rock. And yes, I agree 1,000% with what you said. When CMC returns, hopefully Kyle knows, all right, I can pull him off the field and I can get Jordan Mason more carries, which will save CMC for the long run.
And you never know. Kyle might just use a game plan. Well, Jordan Mason's carrying the ball so good. I'm going to let him wear that defense out, and I'm going to bring CMC in to finish him off. You never know how Kyle's going to view this,
Mm-hmm.
or even use Jordan Mason in the long term with CMC coming back.
Right.
You know, it's in the past when we had that what 3 or 4 headed monster in 2019. You know, Mostert.
Exactly.
What was it? Mostert, Breida,
Breida.
and
Tevin Coleman
Coleman.
was there. Yep.
Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was primarily those three,
Yeah.
and it was whoever was the hot hand was getting the carries.
Exactly.
And there were times where CMC didn't look. I mean, defenses were, stacking the box. They're run blitzing. They're trying to get CMC, and there were a few games where he was just a little bit off, and it was the defense playing hard against us.
Yeah.
But it's like in those games, what would happen if you give those carries to a different guy like Jordan Mason? You
Exactly.
know, what's the defense is going to be like? Oh, it's just Jordan Mason, and then they're going to get ran over.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And I'm gonna be expecting it. Expecting it.
dude, it is just so nice to see. Jordan Mason step in and do this.
Yeah.
I believe we have him for one more year
Yep.
on his rookie 4 years, so
I believe
that's
so.
also a good thing, folks. But so another positive though,
Wait, I
he's
gotta mention
starting to
Jordan Mason.
use.
Jordan Mason has been blocking well also. If
Yes,
you go back
yes,
to week 1 and especially this game, they used them a lot on blitz pickup, and he was sticking his nose in there and blocking well for Brock. So, and we know that was a big concern in the past where he wasn't blocking well. He's doing it now. So I got to give him his kudos on that one. It's not just running the ball. He's blocking well, and he's been catching passes out the backfield too, which he said he worked on all off season. So he's rounding into this complete running back, which helps us tremendously. Because now he's not just one dimensional, and you don't know, like when you bring him on the field, you're like, oh, he's going to do nothing but run. Well, he's going to do a little bit more now. So props to him for his overall game.
well,
Go ahead.
one more thing here. So there were a few times, and I watched the all 22 before the podcast here, just because I wanted to rewatch the game for the third time.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, folks.
You're just thorough in your
But
research.
I was noticing Brock Purdy throwing to like Juice Debo. He's kind of throwing to his left, but then here's Jordan Mason on the right side. Absolutely no one around him, and you're throwing into pretty tight coverage.
Yeah.
It's kind of like need to start kind of thinking of Jordan Mason at like he's CMC. You can count on him. Throw
Yeah.
it. Throw that check down. Let him get 6-7 yards right there.
Mm-hmm.
But when they review the tape, this is Brock
Oh, I'm sure
Purdy's
it'll
going to
come up.
see this.
Yep. Big time.
So, I expect that to be corrected this next game,
Yep.
right? So my next thing, Juice. He
Juice.
is finally starting to get used more than just a blocker and a guy that's in there doing the dirty stuff that no
Yep.
one gives him credit for, right? They're starting to throw to him. They're starting to use him like kind of like a tight end 2-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's another my next point's that guy.
Yeah.
But and it's so nice to see him actually being used in the offense versus just kind of he's out there.
Yep. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
agree
what
with
do
you.
you think about this?
Yeah, I agree with you. He's on my list as well. And I always say the offense is better when we're utilizing all of our pieces. And Kyle Juszczyk is a part of that. Whenever we have games where we get him involved in the passing game somehow, even give him a little handoff on short yardage, it gives the defense another person to think about, another thing to think about. and it catches them off guard a lot of times. Like in week one, you saw that wheel route he ran. We leaked. This was just a leak route. We came out the backfield and he was wide open up the sideline. Right? If Brock puts that ball out a little bit more in front of him, that would have been a touchdown. But that's how dangerous he is, and he has good hands. We've seen him go out on routes. We've seen him catch balls, just bring it in. He has sure hands. That sideline catch he made in the Vikings game is similar to a sideline catch he had last season. He's reliable out there. So, use him. Like, you have all these weapons, and we always say it's a pick your poison offense. He's a part of that poison. So he should be used. So it's great to see him through 2 games. Kyle's got him involved, using him. Awesome. I want to see this continue throughout the season.
Oh yeah, and I
What's
was
up,
talking about
Chad?
how he's kind of tied in too. What's going on, Red Jet? And
Like and sub, everybody.
he kind of is tied into
Yeah, he
ish though
is. He
ish.
is. He is.
And then Eric Saubert, dang dude, he's out there blocking like Charlie Warner, catching passes. He's catching
Yeah.
passes too. So
Yeah.
he's actually a legitimate threat,
Yeah.
right?
You see why they stuck with him. He was looking like a legitimate tight end too, which was great to see. It's like, wait a minute, Kittle left the field and we're still targeting a guy. He's not dropping passes. He's making blocks. We can function without George Kittle for a little bit. Huh. What a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
And when we go to our 2 tight end sets, once again, he's not just going to be left in there to block. He can go out on passing routes as well. That gives us another weapon. Oh my gosh. This is exciting. I really liked what I saw from him yesterday. It gives me hope going forward that we'll add more little wrinkles to the offense and, start to use that tight end too some more.
Oh, it does. It gives you a lot of hope moving forward with what we've seen him for the first 2 games.
Yeah.
He's out there blocking. He's loving it. He's kind of taking George Kittle's attitude on a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is what you
I
want.
love seeing this.
We
I
were hoping
love
for like a
seeing
guy
this.
to come in and mimic George some, right? Be that dog, put
Yeah,
his attitude in blocking and catching and be able to be a well-rounded tight end that'll fit into this offense. Not just, okay, we got one guy who can block and then we got another guy who can catch. So we got to mix it up. No, we need one guy who can do a little bit of both and be that second tight end. Finally got it. Oh,
yep.
what a relief.
And
Titan come back.
speaking of tight ends,
I will be out
George
there.
Kittle,
Yeah.
dude, George Kittle's looking like he is when he was younger.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, he's showing up. It's so nice to see him out there just playing his game. Screw his age. Just forget about that. This is
Yeah.
George Kittle that we all like to see out there on the field,
Yeah.
right?
He's not old.
Um,
He's seasoned. He's a veteran, if you will, but the dude's still in his
yeah,
prime. He's still getting it done. As you can see, he still gets wide open, makes catches, gets upfield, breaks tackles. Like, come on. Use him as well. I remember last season, we didn't use him much at the beginning of the season. For some weird reason. I don't know why. But he started to catch on late. And I'm like, hey, he should definitely get a minimum of like 5 dedicated targets a game. Like, he's a nightmare mismatch. He's a mismatch nightmare, I should say. He should
yes.
definitely be focused on, like a focal point on certain plays where like he's the number one. So go to him. And it was good to see him get involved. They were in that little tight end screen in the middle of the field for him to get the touchdown, which was great. I want to see more of that. So hopefully, like we mentioned with Juice, just Kyle keeps mixing these guys in more and more.
And speaking of mixing guys in, George Juwan Jennings, you know, here he is. He signed his 2-year contract, got him some, stability moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's all he wanted. He didn't
That's
even
all he
sign a
wanted.
huge contract. He just
Nope.
he signed a decent contract, right?
Yeah.
But he's still stepping up in the big game. He only had 2 catches for 37 yards. That's actually 18 and a half yards, per reception. That's
Yeah.
pretty dang good.
But they were big
The first
receptions.
game he had a lot more.
Yeah.
Um, it's honestly nice to. I wish we would sprinkle him in a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll get into the reason why we're probably going to see more of him next week in a minute.
Oh yeah.
But and it's just nice to see him out there getting used.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our offensive line. I honestly think our right side is much improved, and we just needed some Pooney over there. You know.
Yeah. The difference
Um,
a capable guard makes, you know.
oh yes. Oh
And
yes.
we were talking offline of how the right side is looking better than the left side right now. And we know
That's the truth.
Banks missed the preseason, so did Trent Williams
Big Trent.
and
Yep.
yeah, right now the right side is looking much more in tune than the left. So shout out to the right side. Colton McKivitz still has his issues with speed rushers. That's not going to go away, folks. He just doesn't have the foot speed to keep up with them guys. So whenever a guy wants to take off and beat him around the edge, he's most likely going to get whipped, unless he somehow fixes his technique or something. But other than that, he's been pretty solid over there, and I'm going to say Pooney has a little bit to do with that. So
Oh
hey,
yeah. Well, Pooney. There were a few times, and like I said, I just watched the all 22. There was a more than a few plays where he's like, the defensive lineman, instead of taking him on, they were like, no, we're not going. We're going for Brindle. We're going for
mm-hmm.
McKivitz, and he's just kind of two-handed blocking two guys, helping those guys out.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's like I've never
he's
seen
good.
a guy double team two guys at the same time, but Pooney was doing it.
That's the thing.
Um,
The awareness and the ability to be like, oh, I'm doing this, but I can also help Chip and do this a little bit. It's insane. In the game, was it the preseason game? It was the preseason game. Remember when he stepped on McKivitz's foot and then like pirouetted around to help him block? That's like awareness. Like, oh, I stepped on this dude's foot. Oh, there's nobody in front of me. Let me double back and help him out because he's probably in trouble. That's smarts. Like, what more can you want? He's definitely a blessing in disguise. It's great to see. You got anybody on defense? Any positives?
oh, Nick Bosa is back. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he got 2 sacks. He was in Sam Darnold's face for half the game.
Mm-hmm. Still
Um,
getting held,
it's
no
nice to.
calls,
It is just,
but he was
yeah.
wreaking
That,
havoc.
that that's an every game thing. That's an every
Yeah,
game thing.
yeah,
But it's just really nice to see Nick Bosa, getting in the backfield, getting sacks, getting back to what he was doing in 2022.
yep.
That's what we need out of him.
Being a
That
difference
makes the
maker
whole
for
defense,
sure.
more, more effective.
Yeah.
I do have to honorable mention Debo Samuel though.
Oh
Eight
yeah, yeah, yeah.
catches, 110 yards in this
Mm-hmm.
game. Kittle had 7 for 76. You know,
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk had 4, which was double his first week. So
Yep.
that means he should have 8 next week.
And
I'm just
he
I'm just
better step
throwing
up.
it
I'm
out
just
there,
saying.
folks.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
But I mean, our defense. It seemed like there's just the big plays. They're still susceptible to a running, QB. Sam Darnold. There were a few
Yeah.
times he looked forward and said, "Yeah, there's no one. I'm taking
It
off."
was empty. He just took off. Yeah. It was terrible.
I mean, that's just a smart play by a quarterback. Maybe even James would have got 7, 8 yards on that.
Yeah. What was one run was
Um,
just wide open. It was like, oh,
oh yes,
yeah,
all the
yeah,
defensive linemen blew by
yeah,
him, did some
right,
sort of stunt,
yeah. I think it
blew
was the
by
one
him,
right
and
before the half. Um, yeah, because he slid with like 3 seconds to go, and they called timeout. Wound up kicking a field goal. It was just wide open. It was like, oh, but yeah,
yeah, it really was. Fred Warner is all over the freaking place. The
literally,
peanut punch he saved a touchdown with that peanut punch on Aaron
yeah,
Jones.
yeah.
Um, and it's just like, all pro Fred is being all pro Fred.
He's been
He kind of
killing it.
has to step up because he doesn't have his partner in crime back yet.
Yep,
You know,
yep.
um,
And he has been. He's definitely elevated his game, and he's the name fits. All Pro Fred. That's all you got to say. Yeah.
oh yeah. I mean, dang, Brock Purdy had 319 yards passing, 28 for 36,
Mm-hmm. Took it up 36
319
times.
passing.
Yep.
He did have a pick that was on a tip drill, though,
Yeah.
right?
It was well.
So,
It was a bad ball because it was thrown into like tight double, triple coverage, and the one guy he should have picked it, but it hit off his hands and just so happened to deflect into the other defender's hands. So it was like doomed from the start. Um, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that was
I
a
saw
bad one.
that play on the All 22, and I was like, ugh,
Yeah,
you
that
know.
was a bad one. And it's funny because
But
the same thing almost happened in the first half. So I don't know why they went back to it. Um, but Debo was good. Hold up, defense though, positive. Who you got? Fred. Who else you got? You got
we got
Bosa.
Nick Bosa,
Anybody
but both
else?
our stars are back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Diamador Lenore, I actually saw a play where Aaron Jones was running to the left, and he straight looked at Lenore and said, "Nah," and hit the ground right in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Lenore's out there. He had the pads popping. He's really playing like a third linebacker and a nickel corner. Like he's doing it all. And
Yeah.
he's definitely on my list because he made a ton of plays out there. Not much in the passing game. He wasn't really targeted much, but in the run support, he was doing his thing, and he definitely laid some licks on people. Like he comes to
Yes.
hit. Like he's not taking that defensive back stigma to heart where they don't like to tackle and things like that. Not him. No, and we learned that from the Philly game last year when he laid out whoever he laid out. I don't even remember his name.
Swift.
Swift. It was Swift. Yeah,
It was Swift.
it was Swift. But we know, yeah,
Swift was
he comes
just
to
catching the
tackle.
pass and turning his head, and boom!
Mm-hmm.
Lenore just popped him right on the ball, knocked the ball out.
Yeah.
I actually have a thumbnail on my channel, folks, and it's Swift's legs in the air and the ball right there, and Lenore kind of leaning in. It's like it was the perfect time for me to take a picture.
That's awesome.
So
But yeah, Lenore has been playing so. It's second game in a row. He's been just playing so well. So he's definitely like taking his game up a notch too. Anybody else?
well, I can't shout out our safeties because Jair Brown didn't play bad.
Mm-hmm. It's that one play
You know,
really
it
that he
wasn't
gave
his
up.
best game, but
It
it
wasn't his
wasn't his
best
worst
game,
game.
but that one play shines out. It sticks out because it was such a huge play, and it was like, oh, dude, oh. But one another guy for me who kind of stood out is young Malik Mustafa, who actually came in after that 97-yard play. They benched Odom and put Mustafa in, and he was actually put pretty solid out there. Now he wasn't tested in the pass game because they didn't throw pretty deep much and kind of kept things underneath. But he was coming up in support, doing some solid hitting. We know he can hit. That's not a
Hmm.
question. But he was being a force out there, and he played pretty darn well. So could we see him next week? I don't know. Um, it was interesting that they immediately benched Odom though. That was wild. But he stepped in. Malik Mustafa stepped in, and he did his thing. And I always like to see these young guys get actual game reps and see what they can do. And for a whole half, he was looking like, okay, I might be able to live with this. I want to see a little bit more. So we'll see what next week holds.
And that's also true. Malik Mustafa, I have to give him a little more credit because when he came in, they did stop throwing deep. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously he was doing something right back there, right?
Yeah,
And at this point, you know how Kyle is with rookies. Kyle was like,
exactly.
"Oh, all
Yeah,
right,
he
Odom's
doesn't
good
play
on
him.
special teams, but man, this guy, all right, Mustafa, get in there." You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah, yeah. Like unless you either get injured or you're just absolutely blowing it, he won't play a rookie. It just won't
no.
happen. So he must have been real upset at Odom, or somebody must have been real upset for Mustafa to get in there. But either way, I liked what I saw. I liked that he got the opportunity, and I liked what I saw from him. And he's got a big upside. Um, if he can learn on the fly, like Jair Brown learned on the fly last year, and just help us out until Huff comes back, hey, I'm all for it. That was good stuff. I got to give a shout out to some of the guys on the D line as well. Malik Collins, Elliott, Gross Matos. They were getting after it. They didn't have a ton of sacks and
Givens,
stuff. And Big Kevin
Givens got a
Givens. I mean,
sack.
the rotation of those guys is paying off, and that's what we wanted to see, where they can rotate, be fresh, continue to get pressure, and things of that nature. They were out there hustling, and I like to see that. So, you know, fingers crossed, knock on wood, those guys remain healthy, because I know it's only 2 games in, but 2 games in, they're looking real good.
Oh yeah, and now special teams cowing. You muffed a punt, buddy, and guess
Yep,
what?
one
You're
muff.
not the first kick returner to do it. You're not. This seems to happen with all our kick returners. Just learn from it and move forward. That's all you can do.
Yeah, he's the
Um,
first one. Like he was solid all last week.
he
And looking
was,
up in the
he
sun,
was.
dealing with the wind, he was solid. And he was solid all preseason. So I don't know if the glare from the translucent dome got to him or something, or if he just lost it. Because if you look at the slow mo replay, he didn't look it into his hands. He was still kind of looking up. So something weird happened there. I hope somebody does an interview and they ask him. But we didn't lose the punt. Thank God Isaac Yidam was there, came in and jumped on it. Didn't try to pick it up
Yep.
or anything like that. He just jumped on it, secured it. So we didn't, lose the punt. It's unfortunate that 2 plays after that was the Brock Purdy interception. So there
Yeah.
goes that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That
like,
whole section of the game was doomed.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
We were doomed either way, but Cowing has been
but yes.
solid. Yeah.
So speaking of special teams, we had us a blocked punt, folks,
Oh,
and it was almost like I watched the all 22 of it. I actually
mm-hmm.
rewound and watched it again, and
Yeah.
I'm going, Robert Beal Jr.
Yep. It
Like
was on him.
like you're defensive lineman. You should know, just slow your guy down a little bit.
Just get in his way.
That's all you got to do. And Mitch will get it off. You just got to give him a
Mm-hmm.
second. You know. Um,
Can't let a guy
but
come
yeah, it
straight
was
through.
some
And it was
man. Yeah, he
weird
did too.
because when you look at it, it's like when you open the door and you welcome someone into your home, right? You kind of side back stepping like, hey, come on through. That's kind of like what Robert Bill did. I don't know. I need to look at it again and see, like, did he just lose his balance, or Did someone step on his foot or something? Because he took that weird. It was weird. He just opened up this whole right side and was like, and the guy just came right through. Mitch didn't have a chance, and oh yeah, that was frustrating because their turnovers came in our side of the field, deep in our side of the field, where they only had
Yeah.
to go, 20, 25 yards, 10 yards to score. Whereas our turnovers came,
We're
we had
like
to
at
go
the 2 yard line,
we had to go
you know.
99 yards and 80 yards, and it's like, geez, come on. What shall I say here? I feel like the team never really had a chance. That block punt told the story exactly how it was to be told. Uh, when the block happened, it was like, oh, please don't let it be one of those days. And sure enough, it was one of those days.
Yes.
And
Yeah, it was a continuous shooting in the foot. I mean,
yeah, when the ball just
offensive
slipped out of
penalties.
Brock's hand, it
Oh,
was like,
oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yep, one of them days. Yep, sure enough.
When I was watching that on the all 22 going, like, what the heck, dude? Is your hands sweaty? Did you have a, like a Western Richburg moment where,
Yeah,
your hands got wet from being in
you
there?
put it on the Brindle.
Like,
Yeah, they were indoors. Never know. Might have been a little muggy in there. A little muggy down on the field. But yeah, I mean, just literally no rain, no nothing indoors. Just literally slips out of his hand and right into a defensive lineman's hands. Like, when do you ever see that? It was one of them days. Weird things always happen in Minnesota, and that was just one of them days where the weirdness really
man.
happened. Yeah.
And I'm still something in my mind says there's some voodoo lady that lives in Minnesota and she's got a sourdough Sam doll, folks.
Yeah.
And the 49ers are here. She's got her biggest needle she's got out. It's like I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Maybe we need to fly up there, practice locally. Get used to being there. Get used to drinking whatever's in the
Yeah.
water, and then maybe we'll move on. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's still early in the season. We have no idea how everything's going to play out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um,
Still very early. It's game 2. Anything can
oh
happen.
yeah, that's exactly it.
Creators on it.
Like,
One team
look what
smoke.
happened to the Cowboys. That they were at home.
Yeah. Well,
And they
I watched that game and remember Clint Kubiak, who is under our staff as our
hmm
pass game coordinator. He's a Shanahan disciple. Is now the offensive coordinator for the Saints. If you watch that game, they was running the plays we ran against them. He just used our game plan. The over routes that we hit them on. He was running that. The power runs to the outside. He was running that. He even remember the tight end leak that we did to George Kittle up the sideline. Ran
yeah.
the same play. Well, not the exact same, but the same concept, where he play actioned and leaked the tight end out the backside up the sideline. It was called back because of ineligible lineman downfield. But had they not thrown the penalty, that'd have been an easy touchdown, just like ours. He just ran the same crap.
Yeah.
So, let you know, if Dallas can't stop our offense, we're looking good a few weeks from now. But we got to execute. But that's a few weeks from now. Let's not get far ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about next week, which is we got the Rams. Luckily, it's a home game as we go to Levi South. Out
That's
in
right. The
Los,
stadium in Inglewood,
that's
the
right, the
Levi's
stadium in
Inglewood we
Inglewood,
got. Yeah.
California, Los Angeles, where we visit the Rams, who are a bit banged up. No Puka Nakua. Who's their other wide receiver?
Cooper Cup
Cooper Cup. As they're saying, he
got
may miss the
banged up.
game. He got banged up. He may miss the game. and they announced earlier that their safety Johnson is out, so they're a bit banged up. Um,
And
Now
their
for us,
defense got cooked though by
their
the
defense did get
Arizona
cooked.
Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean they was leaving Harrison wide open.
And I mean, like it's almost like someone should tell the Cardinals that, at this point in the rebuild, you're not supposed to be doing this. Like,
No.
next year's when you're supposed to start doing this stuff. Like, but the season's still early. There's still
Still
a
early.
lot can
Still early.
happen.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen teams start off hot and then fade away quickly. So it's a
Yes,
long season. It's a marathon. But it's been announced earlier for the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan announced that Debo Samuel uh, tweaked his ankle, his calf,
he's
and
calf.
he's going to miss a few weeks. Now, I didn't see him leave the game, so he played the whole game with it. Probably felt it, Debo, football players themselves, whether it's an ankle or calf, something, as long as they can walk, they'd be like, I'm good. I'm all right. Tape it up. Give me a shot. Do something, and I'll just play through it. So that's probably what he did. But it's going to cost us. So, without Debo Samuel, somebody's got to step up because he's been the main man in the passing game through the first two games.
And
Who do
he
you think
has
that
been.
someone would be?
Well, we have the $30 million man. A season that'd be Ayuk.
Yep.
We got Jennings.
Well,
We got Kittle. We could go two tight end set and bring in Sauber and not play with that. But we got juice. It's
juice.
like, and last but not least, this is the guy I want to see on offense. I know he muffed a punt. I don't care about that. I want to see Jacob Cowing.
Ding, 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 ding. That's my guy. That's my guy.
So when it comes to Steve was predicting a 6-6 tie
Yep, it's
next
a
week.
6-6 tie next week. You know what? Stop playing. Because in the wacky world of the NFL, you never know. Um,
That's exactly it.
yeah,
But I think our offense is going to do better than six. I do,
yeah,
or at least they
yeah.
better. You
They
know,
better. Exactly. Exactly.
and
Um,
last year when we went on the losing streak, we were losing. We lost Trent Williams and Debo,
yes.
right?
I remember CMC
So
went out early, well, like in the second quarter of that Cleveland game as well. So in
yeah,
that game, for most of it, we were down the big three.
yes,
Yeah.
and right now we're playing without CMC. We got Jordan Mason. He's filling in admirably.
Yeah.
We still have Trent Williams.
What's
We've
up, Big
literally
Area
drafted
Sports?
three wide
Hey,
receivers the
Dominic.
last 2 years. We got Ronnie Bell. We got Jacob Cowing. I don't think Purcell's going to be available yet.
No.
That might be another week or two.
Yeah.
You know, this is all yet to be seen. It's only Monday, folks. You'll have to watch
Yeah.
We'll have to watch the practice injury report and see if they start easing him in.
Yeah.
But at this point, I kind of feel like our wide receiver room, with between Jennings, Cowing, and Conley, we can pick up the slack for Debo not being there. You
Yes.
know,
Yes. I agree with
um,
you. On several points. One, our wide receiver room is deep enough, even without Ricky being available yet, that they can pick up the slack of Debo not being out there, just from the wide receiver standpoint. Jacob Cowing, you mentioned him. He's been a name that's been on my mind and my lips these first two games. I'm like, why aren't we seeing Jacob Cowing in the passing game? We saw Ronnie Bell get out there and get some snaps, and I'm like, if Ronnie Bell could get some snaps, Cowing should definitely be able to get some snaps, especially like they're using Bell on fly routes, on 9 routes, trying to beat a man to the outside. It's like, hey, put in the guy with speed. to beat a guy at the outside. He can do it, and we saw him what he did in the preseason, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Cowing was this year's Jordan Mason. Let's put it that way. Where he showed like, oh, he belongs. I believe he can do this in the regular season as well. So I've been looking for him to get some touches. With Debo out, I expect him to be out there. There's no way you shouldn't give him the opportunity. Great route runner, good hands. Let him get out there and see what he could do. Let's see what he looks like with Brock throwing him the ball at that. Right? We know how accurate Brock is and can put the ball in tight
Mm-hmm.
windows, hit you on the run. He could be setting us up for some explosive plays out there. So I definitely want to see that. So the passing game, I'm not worried about. And like you mentioned, Kittle, Salbert still out there. Like we can use some two tight end sets to get into the passing game. There's a whole lot that Kyle can play with. So I'm not even worried about the run game though. Now they've been using Debo a lot in the run game. And it's because, like, once again, Kyle gets it into his head where, okay, I got rookie running backs. I basically have no running backs. You know how he treats them, right? He
Yes.
doesn't give
Yes.
them the ball. I saw Isaac Guerrero for one play. He ran like a power. They stopped it, and then he was gone. I never saw him again. And I'm like, hey, the same way we've been yelling to spell CMC so that he doesn't get beat up, we need to spell Jordan Mason some. But they did it with Debo, and I'm like, okay, you can't use Debo for everything because he's going to get hurt. Lo and behold, calf injury. So we got to use either Isaac Guerrero or Patrick Taylor to spell Jordan Mason some in the run game. That's what I want to see from Kyle, especially against the Rams. Banged up. They're not stopping the run very well. I think we play some bully ball, give the ball to them dudes, and let them show out. But you mentioned it earlier, and when we had that three-headed monster at tailback. Like, we would run all three of them, and then whoever had the hot hand during the game, like, that's who we would lean on more. I think we should see a little bit of that. I'm sure Jordan Mason is the number one, but let's get these other guys involved as well.
And that's something I'd like to see. Get if it's he brought in Garindo for like one play. Come on, man. Give the kid, give him some jet sweeps.
Use that
Let's
speed,
see.
right?
Let's run him to the outside with his speed. I guarantee you, he's going to get some yards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, I would actually like to see Cowing on some jet sweeps. Where
Yeah.
we might see some creativity from Kyle this next
Yeah.
week, not having Debo around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that needs to come sooner than later,
Yeah.
because Kyle's record in September is over 500.
Yeah.
His record in October isn't so great. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when we start running into teams like it. Don't we run into, like
Oh,
Red Jet said, the gauntlet, like Seattle,
that's when we
KC,
normally hit our
Dallas.
gauntlet. Yep.
So at that point, we do need to have guys like Debo back. So let's not rush that. Um, but at this
Yeah.
point, let's get some other guys involved. Then you can spread the ball around. You can rotate players in and out. Keep the defense off balance. They won't know what's coming.
Exactly.
Run multiple plays out of the same formation, just
Yep.
like Kyle does.
Which Kyle loves
Right?
to do. He
Yeah.
loves to do it. So yeah, keep him off guard. Keep him guessing. Shell says, honestly, I say shelf as many as possible until the gauntlet game. Seattle, KC, Dallas. Well, I believe that's one of the things they decided to do with TMC. Let's hold him back until then. Plus, the next two games, if you look at, Minnesota and the Rams, I should say Vikings and the Rams, they're on turf. Any guy with a leg injury or something, you don't want them on turf at all. Just no. Especially in
We
Minnesota,
really don't.
They just laid down some new turf. We don't know how it's going to respond. Their previous turf was
Oh,
trash. This could be trash plus. No. So like him, Huff, and other guys, no. You're definitely not playing on that stuff.
okay, so the next 2 weeks we have the Rams and the Patriots.
Yeah,
And the
the
Patriots
Patriots are
is
at
at
home.
San Francisco.
Yeah, I
I
believe
do
after that.
expect them to put up, you know, more of a fight than originally anticipated.
Hmm.
But then comes October 6th, the Cardinals.
Yeah, and that's at
October
home as
10th.
well.
Why? Hold on. October 10th. Why do we always play Seattle on Thursday? What is up with that, NFL? Come on.
I'm telling you, schedule makers are lazy. Lazy. They
Man,
just
and
copy
we
and
go
paste.
to this is
Yeah,
at Seattle on a
always. We
win.
travel to them on a Thursday night somehow. It's laziness.
Man, the only good thing we got going there is they do still have Geno Smith.
They do still have Gino. Yep. No matter how you look at it. And they're banged up. They still
And
got injuries. So, yeah.
oh,
But this Rams
the
game, I'm not
benefit
worried
with
about.
that
Hold on.
10 games, 10 days, and
Hmm.
then we play KC on
Yeah.
10 days rest.
Yeah. We get a little mini bye to be able to heal up a little bit and get ready for KC.
Ooh, ooh, Red Jetta don't. Chew. Pardon
Red
me,
Jet says
folks.
he'll be in the house on the 20th for
Um,
KC.
yeah, and then the Cowboys at
If I can make it
on the
out there, I will.
27th. I hate to say it, but the Buccaneers right now are looking pretty good. They
Yeah.
we got to go to them.
Yep.
Then it's Seattle at home. Then it's to the Packers. Dang, dude. One, two, three, four. That's like six kind of rough, could be roughish games in a.
Yeah.
Then the Bills. That's seven at Buffalo. Oh boy,
Listen. All
that's a
right.
tough 7 game stretch, Ty.
John Jay giving you some blessings.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. But I kind of work in a dusty-ish
I don't have
environment
to do that.
now, and but it's not metal dust like it used to be. So, but my body
Better.
still protects
Yeah.
itself.
Listen, our
Um,
schedule is always rough. They always give us this gauntlet.
man,
They don't like us. We can see that by the calls we don't get in the schedule. Like we're somehow always the most traveled team with the toughest schedule. It's nuts. But we just got to go out there and do what we got to do. Starting this weekend with the Rams. We should be chasing Matthew Stafford all over the field, stopping their run game, and giving them fits. I expect a sea of red in that stadium as usual. Just take that place over and, let them know it's Levi's South still. They're just renting it. So I'm looking forward
that
to this one.
that's true. And looking at the schedule also reminds me of one thing. We have got to win that Bears game because I got a bet with a Bears guy. And if they beat us, I have to make a 8-minute video on why they're superior to the
Oh my
49ers.
gosh. Yeah, so then we
So
definitely got to
that
do
is
it.
a must
We de-
win, Kyle. Do you hear me? That's a must win.
That's right. We're going to get on the phone with Kyle and let him know, hey, pull out all the stops here. None of this conservative stuff, calling the same plays 2 times in a row. We want to utilize everybody and get this thing going. We got to win that.
Yep. Well, Ty, we got anything left to talk about? Because I know you have a podcast coming up. You probably need a few minute break
No,
here.
that is our time. We covered it all. We want to wrap this thing up in
Sweet.
a nice little package for y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to Stay Faithful Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe to my boy David's channel right there. And we will see you next week actually on his channel because we rotate this thing every
That's
week.
right.
That's right. It's teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. So,
That's exactly it.
everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a great night and stay faithful. And David, take us home, please.
Hey, as Corey Davis says, go Niners and F all 31 other teams.
For sure.
Go,
See ya.
go Falcons tonight.
That's
F
right,
my
the
pick.
Falcons.